For some reason, the automatic recording tab was not set. So now it's recording. So welcome everybody. We have a whole bunch of people coming on. We had 100, I think about 110 registrants by the end of yesterday, which is awesome. You can hit us up in the chat or the Q&A. I'll be monitoring that. And Jim Dunn of Sandler Training is going to take us through this strategic goal setting for 2022. I've been through it. This is now my third time, and I still have all of my sheets from December of 2019 and last year when we did this online. This is normally a half-day session, and it's really very good. And so he's sweetening and condensing it down to a 1-hour session for you guys today. It will require some more work on your part after hours and some think time, but he will take us through this. And before we launch, I'm going to launch a poll for everybody. Have you ever participated in this best year ever before? Single choice, yes or no. So hit that up. It's fun to see what's happening here. So a lot of people have done this before, and a lot of people haven't. And so for those who haven't, you are in for a treat. For those who have, that's why you're back here, because it was so good the first time. And I can't wait to go through this again personally. So as you can see right there, so 57 of the 68 people have participated. 65% said no, they have not participated in this before, and 33% had. So that's awesome. So 60%. So anyway, I am going to go ahead and make you host now. We got a few more people. Again, I will be monitoring the chat and the questions so that if you do have something, either raise your hand or hit that. And I'm going to go ahead and make you host.
Okay. Fantastic. Right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. And for those of you who are back with us, great. For those of you who this is your very first time, I appreciate you greatly as being a part of this. So a couple of things before we get started. As Gary mentioned, this is normally a half-day session, and we're really condensing this. So what I really want to do is I want to spend time into your plan. The day is all about you. It's not about me. This is really not a training session. It's really about your plan and your development and truly making 2022 your best year ever. Now, as we go on, what I would like to do is I would like to be able to, can everybody see the screen? Gary, we good with the screen? Can you see that? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I have a book recommendation every year. I know all of you are learners, you're growing, we all want to get better. And this is a fantastic book I came across in the fourth quarter. Many of you might be already familiar with the author, Dan Sullivan. He has a program that's called Strategic Coach. I'm a follower of his. He has this outstanding book called The Gap and the Gain. I'm going to refer more to this in upcoming slides, but I highly recommend this particular book for everyone. Now, we have a workbook. It's imperative that you have the workbook beside you because we are going to be doing a lot of writing today. And so I'm on page number 2 of your workbook. You can see a slide here on page number 2, but in any endeavor that we participate in, always these 3 elements are at play. So your attitude as we move forward, what is my attitude towards 2022? Am I looking at it in fear, or am I looking at it as abundance? Hopefully we're looking at it with a level of confidence and a level of abundance. Behavior. how I'm using my time, how I'm working with my current customers and clients to keep them and grow and expand that. And lastly is technique, what I do, how I do it. So we're going to be putting really these three into play. Now, what I'd like to do, because I really want everybody to be engaged, take a look at this quote. This
Time
is a
out.
good way.
Sorry, Jim. I just got a note from somebody that said, doesn't look like we're in presentation mode. So can somebody confirm that you can see? I see it fine and it's advancing for me, but would somebody in the chat let me know if this is working the way it's supposed to?
Right.
You can see it? Okay, great.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
I made a little click right there. This is a good way, maybe with a little bit of trepidation as we move forward, but I'm going to let you read that quote and let that quote sink in. We all face uncertainty. We're still not past through COVID. We have that ahead of us. However, what we can do is, with this uncertainty, I think that's why this is so important that we're working on what do we really want? What are our goals and where are we really headed? So what I would like to do to get everybody started is I'd like for you to turn to page number 3. And before we start writing is that I would like for everybody to think about today is all about balance. Many of us have a lopsided wheel, meaning that we have too much emphasis on our career goals. And I like this balance wheel because we're going to be speaking about spiritual, family, career, and health. And the idea is to have one major goal per quadrant. I want you to think about your automobile or your motorcycle. It's only as good as the quality of the tires and the ride. And I want you to think about your life. Would it be a bumpy ride because you've got too much on the career side? So what I have here on page number 3, and you can come back to this, is it's kind of a really good checkup. On a scale of 1 to 10, am I like 10 on the career side, but everything else is 1, 2, and 3. And as we go through these and we talk about this balance wheel right here, spiritual is my purpose, my passion. It doesn't necessarily have to mean religion, but it is certainly your level of faith, your purpose, your passion, your drive, and what really compels you to move forward, your why in life, if you will. Next is we all work because we have strong family and personal goals. And so we're going to talk about today, best year ever. What does that vacation look like? What does that planning look like? Some of you are planning colleges for your kids, whatever that next step is. Career, we're certainly going to talk a lot about that today. And lastly is, I love this quote by Vince Lombardi, fatigue makes cowards of us all. So we need to take good care of ourselves. Now, we've got that balance wheel in place. I'd like to talk about this, this concept. You're going to come back to this a little bit later, but I want to talk about this book, The Gap and the Game. And I want to introduce a new concept. See, every year we bring in something new, team. We want you coming back. So let's just talk a little bit about you and how the brain works. And this is why I like this book so much. Take a look on the left-hand side. On the left-hand side here is that we have a start date, but the problem with many people is we put our goals as to perfection. We call it the ideal. And the problem on the left-hand side is, and we're getting ready to do an exercise that easily puts us into the gap. And the gap is this. It's been a year for a lot of you since we last did this. Every one of us is smarter now than where we were a year ago. You have more experiences. So the problem is we need to really monitor our success on where we came from versus visualizing and always grading ourselves on ideal or perfection. Many of you had a great year last year in 21. And here's an example of it. Let's just say you had a goal of reaching $2 million in sales, but you did $1.8 million. But the year before you did $1.2 million. Now, you may be disappointed because you didn't get the 2 million, but you increased from the year before. The problem when we measure against our ideal is it leads us to disappointment and frustration. Where here's where we're going to go. When I'm on page 4 of your worksheet, page number 4 is, if you want to write this down, I need to learn to measure backwards. I'll say that again. I need to learn to measure backwards, not forward. Frustration is when we measure forward against our ideal. It's good to have ideals, but what we want to do is we want to start to learn to go on the right side and measure backwards, because that's what gives us satisfaction, enjoyment. We all are better, more improved than where we were just a year ago. So let me reflect the point and let's move on. On page number 5 of your worksheet here, we have something that's called the Gold Cultivator. I love this exercise. I do it every year. And hopefully you will want to do it every year. So what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to write out, and I'm going to let, Gary, I'm going to let you be my pace person. I'd like for us to take the very first column. So for example, one of my goals was I wanted to add 12 new companies as new clients for the year. That was my goal for the year, 1 a month. Many of you know I do sales training and sales development. That was one of my goals. So what I'd like for you to do is I would like for you to look back, and I would like for you to take a look at 2021. What were your top 4 or 5 goals? You don't have to, we're not talking about whether you accomplished them or not. We're talking about what were your top 4 or 5 objectives, personal too. For example, my wife and I went to Idaho and Wyoming. That was a goal that we had. So just write it out. What were your top 4 or 5 goals? And Gary, if you'll just be my pace person, once you just write those in the box, just let me know when you're finished with that.
10-4.
First column only. Top 4 or 5 goals or projects or even wish list. And reflecting a little bit of balance in there, business side, career side, and personal. Gary, you got those top 4 or 5 in there?
Almost another 30 seconds.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I love this next column. See, again, the gap or the gain. So let me give you an example of that. This next column is we always learn something about ourselves. That's the key. We learn insights that are positive. If we achieve goals, then we've got to give credit for persistence and confidence. Oftentimes we don't achieve goals. And this is where the gap and the gain comes into place. So here's new things learned. I added 10, not 12, but I learned that was a pretty aggressive goal that I had. And also what I learned was the coaching and the training took a lot more time than I thought. So what I'd like for you to do in the box right next to your goal for last year, what did you learn about yourself? And Gary, you'll be my pace person. Thank you.
You got it.
And everybody could just stay at this one column right here. I know some of you might be, just moving on, but if you could, just for the exercise, stay with this one column and then I'll let you go because there's a lot of insights that can develop right here.
All right, about 30
Okay.
seconds.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, everybody. Now, what I'd like to do, we're pretty good about the next two. What I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to brag on yourself a little bit. What are some strengths that you have? With me, I wrote down great new clients, lots of momentum, and that's a real good strength. And a weakness is I'm not allowing enough time to plan and think ahead. Hence, it's causing me and has already caused me for new goals, how to have your best year ever, and how to use my time and structure my time. So I'd like for everybody now to complete the rest of the exercise. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses or those areas of development, if we're more politically correct on that? None of us likes to admit our weaknesses, but we'll look at areas of development. And again, Gary, thanks for being my pace person here.
You got it.
So Gary, when you're through, circle the box that surprised you the most. I know you're still working, but for those who are ahead, circle the box that surprised you the most. Got 20 responses in here, which and Gary, if you want to, you can even let us know, hey, what did you circle?
Well, it's pretty funny because every one of these goals I hit, which was really cool. And they covered every aspect of my life. And so I don't know that I really had a big surprise, but fortunately, one of my things was I had a trusted financial advisor in place. Ben McDonald is in place and cooking with gas. So that was probably my surprise because it had been too long that I'd been without.
Okay, great. Now, I don't know this to be the case, Gary, but some years I've achieved all my goals. And one of the things I had to really sit back on, and I'm not saying this would be you, but where I reflected, maybe were my goals too safe? Did I not push enough, for example, on my own, not you, but did I really stretch my goals? And so that's something to really think about. So what I'd like to ask everybody to do in the chat is I'd like for you to go to the chat, and I would like for you to write in what you circled, what the box that surprised you the most. Okay, that surprised you the most. Write that in the chat. Let me give everybody a minute for that. Okay, Gary, any that look interesting, and then we'll move on. Give me two that you see that look pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's some good ones in here. So one interesting, yes, patience can be learned at any age, which is awesome. Another one was self-love and caring, carving out time for me each day, and how it affected my peace and confidence and ready to handle anything. That's a really good one.
Cool.
Like I said, there's some really good ones. Need to think bigger and be brave. That's a good one.
Oh, I like that. Stretching your comfort zone. Okay, which reminds me, here's where we are. I'd like for everybody to please turn the page. I'd like you to turn to page number 6. Turn to page number 6. You're not going to be answering these questions on page number 6, but what you will be doing is this is a primer page. In other words, some of these questions on this particular page are not going to be relevant. Some will. It's to get you to where we're headed next. So I'm going to give everybody just a minute to read over page 6. And then when you're finished, turn to page 7. And we're going to be 7 and 8 as we drive home here. Give you a little bit more time just to look over page number 6. you might want to put a check mark or highlight by the questions that are helpful. So here's where we are, team. Let's everybody go to page number 7. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. This is where we are right here. You are going to develop your list, not only for 2022, but also this. And Gary, please, if you want to just, let's make sure we really ring this true. 2022 and above. So not only for this year, but for really, it's kind of like your bucket list. I want you to write for 10 minutes straight. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Think about the balance wheel: spiritual, physical, family, and career. So where do you want to go? Here's some of my list right here. I even on the right-hand side, I kind of wrote some things down on the spiritual side, the physical side, the career side, kind of put some things on there that I wrote. So I'm going to give everybody 10 minutes. You've got 2 pages. You've got 50 responses. So don't copy my list. Mine's just on there, being vulnerable with you. And by the way, you'll notice I've got 50. We won't have enough time for that. But 10 minutes, let's start writing. Thank you. 4 more minutes, team. 4 more minutes. Two more minutes. One more minute. Fifteen more seconds. Well done, and a really good start. Now, team, because of the brevity of our time, we're going to move on this, but I would like for you to make the final notation, is that I would like for you on the left-hand side of the numbers, I would like for you to categorize what type of a goal that it is. Meaning, let's go back here for a second to the balance wheel as it reflects there with that. You could put an S for a spiritual goal. You could put an H for a health goal. You could put a C for a career goal. And finally, on the family, I usually put like PER for personal. So my 401k, anything that has to do financially, personally, I just do that. So that's on the left-hand side, is to categorize our goals. And now on the right side, of each goal, I want to put a timeline. So that's very important because goals without a timeline are dead on arrival. So especially if it's a goal for 2022, for example, my wife and I want to go on vacation the first week of July. It's very important that our goals are really smart. Our goals are, we've all heard this acronym right here. We want our goals specific: who, what, why, when, and how. We want them measurable. We want to be accountable to someone. We want to be realistic, but on the right side is we have a timeline. And you saw from my goals that some of them were several years off. But if it's a goal for 2022, the more specific that I can make it to the date, the better. All right. Because of the time, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to take your top five for this year, 2022. And I am now moving forward. I am actually on page number 9 of your workbook, where you'll see 2022, and you'll see under there 1-year goal. And what I would like for you to do is I want you to think about a revenue goal. I want you to think about a physical goal, a family or a personal goal, a spiritual goal, and you can take one more. The above is an illustration of one of my clients. That was what they had on there. So let's go ahead and let's go choose your top 5 and put them in right here. One for each box. Now, it's important. And Gary, you and I can have a dialogue. There's a couple things that go along with this. Number 1, set your goals in the positive. Don't say, for example, I want to lose 20 pounds. Rather, I weigh a healthy, and put in what that amount is. So our goals must be positive. Next, my goals need to be as if they're already accomplished. I am, I have been on this incredible trip to Utah, which is where I want to go this summer. So it's important that we train our brain, not I will, but I am, I have. It's very important that we use those kind of words. So I've been on this awesome vacation to such and such a place. So in this space right here, please take your top 1 that you have and make sure we've got balance: career, physical, personal or family, spiritual goal, and choose one more. What category will that be? We're only doing that first column, please. And Gary, just let me know when you got your top 5, okay? 4 or 5, please. Thank you.
2 down.
Way to go, brother. Hey, Gary, let's take a look at the screen. I mentioned before that goals need to be stated in the positive and as if they've already been accomplished. So tell me something. What's one word I could add to this right here that would fulfill that as being positive, and also as if it's already been accomplished?
So on the 1 million revenue, I would say I've met or exceeded my $1 million revenue goal by 12/31/2022.
Perfect. Perfect. Or I could add one word, 1 million revenue achieved.
There you go. That's
It would
better.
be-
That's more succinct.
It would be, it's positive. And I see, here's the thing, folks. We need to let our subconscious mind work for us. When we set up goals as if I will, it's almost like our belief system's not in place. If I set up the goal of 1 million achieved, my brain starts to work for me. I come up with creative ideas. There's this universal law that goes out there because when you have a high level of belief and confidence, people, influences, other ideas come to you, money, new clients. So that's very important that we do that. Now, let's go next. Let's go to the next column. Why? Why is this goal so important? So Gary, I'm just going to use you as an example. Take a look. Let's see if we, let's just say for we may not have an idea of getting all these. Let's just take your personal goal, give this some thought, and then come on back. And then I'd like, give you a couple of minutes here. Why is this goal so important? I know we have a limited amount of time, and we're certainly not going to complete the whole exercise, but at least if we can start tracking on like 1 or 2 of these and finish those, we could come back to 3, 4, and 5 later. Okay, whenever you're ready. Gary, what's your why, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so I'll just do this. The first one on career, which, as a sales guy, and among other things, I got to hit my sales goal, or, I'm a commission driven guy, right? But so that's important for me, because I want to, toe my own way and that sort of thing. But more importantly, my mission is to make a positive difference in the lives of others. And that is in the clients that we serve, in my teammates that I can't serve, by myself. We have to collectively serve these clients. And that ties into my mission, but it also ties into our BGW mission, which is to make a difference in the lives of our clients, our teammates, and our community. So
cool. Excellent. Well done. Because of brevity, folks, let's and what you just heard, we're going to work on our career goal and move along. Okay. So Gary, along with that, because you're going to come back to this afterwards and fill in more. Okay. What's the truth about this situation? And so Gary, let's just, you and I kind of role play. I'll give you some time to answer. The truth about the situation, team, is where you are today. It's the facing the brutal facts. For example, on here is, again, this was one of my clients last year that wrote a little bit more than 2021. Actually, this was a client of mine that moved to Salt Lake City. And the truth is that he wants to produce $1 million this year, but last year, a little over 400K. That's the truth. So everybody else out there, you're doing one, or in the time that's allowed, we're working at least our career goal, since this is a work-related meeting. And Gary, whenever you're ready.
All right, cool. Well, the truth about the current situation is we reset to 0 every January. It doesn't matter how much we beat the goal last year, it's back to 0. And so that's one. The other thing is if I don't have a solid team, if we don't have all the people that we need in place, I can't do my job. Right. I can't sell if we can't deliver. And so all of those things are important. So those are two important truths.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now knowing that, what we're going to do is we have people who can help us. And so that's where we're going to go next, is who can actually help us with that. And I'm not going to spend much time right here, but this is just a really good listing of, how technology can help us, our current clients. We have a lot of momentum. So see, Gary, moving forward, even though you're resetting at 0, your team is smarter, better, they're more strategic. There's a lot of great momentum that you have in achieving your goal. And so that that really helps. All right. So team, let's do this. And this will be our last page working together. Let's go to page 10. And what we need to do is to divide our goal by March 31st. So on this page, if you could please put first quarter from January 5th, that's today, to March 31st. What is one? How do I break this down? So let's do our career goal. What is your first quarter goal? Now, this is mine right here. I do something called foundations in my sales training. And my goal is by March 31st, I will have completed 2 foundations classes. And my goal is to put 30 people through it. Well, I start one next Tuesday. I already had 20 in that one. So I'm a good start ahead. I might even reframe this goal. So what would be a first quarter goal? All right. We all know life is going to get in the way. In other words, I've got 5 minutes. Life happens. And we live in a world of urgency. So now give it your best shot. What are the obstacles that are going to prevent you from your goal? And you can see mine, not scheduling time for weekly planner. That's a tool that I use, and having this strategic buffer time for adding new clients. So that's an obstacle of not scheduling and getting busy, emails, whatever. So that's an obstacle. What is your obstacle? Okay, I'd like for you to write something down. What can keep you from accomplishing your goal? So give everybody a minute just to think about that. That should be pretty easy. We all have obstacles. Now, for every obstacle, we always have a strategy. So yes, I've got that, which creates an excuse, but now I have a strategy. And my strategy is at 9 o'clock, I am going to plan my week ahead and schedule time in there for buffer time, training, whatever that is. So that's going to be my strategy for this. And next, what's a specific action I'm going to take? I'm going to set aside time for when I'm going to attain new clients. I am going to schedule that in. So that's my specific action. All right, I have 2 minutes. We've gone through real quick. You, however, have a blueprint for your whole plan. So obviously, I want you to go back and spend some time working on your plan. So one of the things I've learned as a coach and trainer of doing this for 30 years is the following. I want to give you 3 tips to make this stick. Because if you invested an hour and I believe if you don't come back and do these couple of things, your time is going to be wasted. Number 1, let's create a vision board. I'm going to come back to that. Here's my vision board. I love to travel. I love my family. I love having fun. There are certain things that I really enjoy doing. So I have a vision board up here. To where I've got some fun things and kind of give us that reason why. Here's my client that I spoke about early. Here is his vision board. So what I'd like for you to do is I would like for you to take and grab some pictures for all 4 or 5 of your goals and create a vision board. It could be literally something that you go to the art store and put pictures and cut and paste, or it could be on your computer. That's number 1. And lastly, what I'd like to ask you to do is to get your cell phone. That's right. And do 2 things, and then I'm going to end. Number 1, I want you to record in your own voice what your goals are. Get an app. I have a couple of apps on recording, and so I will use that. And in my own voice, I typically put on there my goals and my why. That's all. My state my goals and why they're important to me. And I listen to them weekly. Why? Because we need to be reminded of that. And last thing I'll do, and I'll hand it over to Gary to where we can conclude, get your phone right now before we hang up today and schedule an hour in yourself to where you're going to come back and finish what you started. So please look at your calendar right now. We all have our calendars here. Schedule an hour. If you're an early morning person, do it at 6 a.m. If you're a late night person, schedule it. Schedule an hour to come back and work on this. With that, folks, congratulations. Make it your best year ever. Gary, so thankful to you and the BGW team.
This was awesome. Thank you, Jim Dunn. We had 88 people on here. So excellent. And for anybody that this was your first time, awesome. The third tip is listen to them weekly. Somebody
listen to them weekly, or put them on a board, but listen to them weekly. There you go. Yep.
Create your vision board, record in your own voice, your goals and your why, listen to them weekly, and schedule an hour to complete this.
Yeah.
So this was really good. Thank you everybody for joining us. We will put this thing up on the BGW YouTube channel later on this afternoon for anybody that wanted to get it again. And if you did not get the handout, go check your spam filter, because anybody that registered for this got an email an hour before that had this workbook on it. And if you still can't find it, email me at gfrey@trustbgw.com, gfrey@trustbgw.com, and I will send it to you. Thank you, everybody. We're done.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Gary.